Commander Julius, his voice resonating with grim authority, addressed the assembled recruits. But everyone present will be deployed to Fort Blanky. A wave of hushed murmurs rippled through the ranks, the recruits exchanging uneasy glances. One of the recruits, his voice tinged with disbelief, questioned, "What's going on, Commander? What mission could be so important that we're deploying new recruits who've yet to receive proper training?" Julius clenched his fist, his voice tight with suppressed emotion. Platoon 5 Captain, Trainer Isvin, and 14 subordinates under his command have gone missing. Theo's eyes widened in shock, a cold dread creeping into his heart. The narrator provided further context. Trainer Isvin, the oldest knight in the white-armored dragon cavalry. Even Julius would ask for his advice. He's not one to go down so easily. A chilling thought crossed Theo's mind. Could this be part of the butterfly effect I created? He wondered, a bead of sweat trickling down his temple. Commander Julius continued, his voice heavy with grim determination. According to a report by the Black Snow, there's an 89% chance they are dead. Even if they are alive, they will be in no state to continue their mission. The currently available troops will be the new, temporary Platoon 5 and carry on their mission. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the assembled recruits before delivering the final, decisive order. The captain of the temporary Platoon 5 will be Evelyn Nereville. As mission deployment will be in 3 days, finish all the basic training by then. Julius tightens his fist down. I don't believe they have died. The next day, his gaze fixed on the distant horizon, he declared, but we still need to avenge them. With a fluid, practiced motion, Julius exits the arena. The narrator explained, the Black Skull Bandits' kidnapping of the series Merchant Guild. It had initially seemed like a straightforward, albeit tragic, incident. It was an incident without any casualties due to the hard work of the white-armored dragon cavalry, or so people thought. However, the truth lay hidden beneath the surface. The real objective of the incident lay elsewhere, the theft and transportation of the Dragon Slayer sword Balmung. A sinister figure, cloaked and masked, orchestrated the chaos. Ed Troyven uses the Balmung he smuggled out in his coup. Theo, his expression troubled, reflected on the unfolding events. But things have taken a different turn than for my previous life. A chilling thought crossed his mind, accompanied by a single drop of sweat. If this is all my fault, I need to see it through firsthand. A blue, translucent system window materialized before Theo, displaying a new, ominous quest. Hidden quest obtain the Dragon Slayer sword Balmung. 3 days later, the recruits, bundled in thick furs against the biting cold, stood assembled before the imposing Fort Blanky. It's so cold I can't get used to the weather, someone complained, their breath misting in the frigid air. Why does the moon look funky? Another recruit muttered, gazing up at the strangely distorted celestial body. Suddenly, a chorus of cries erupted. It's the white-armored dragon cavalry. A sentry, perched high atop the fortress walls, shouted a warning. Sound the alarms. It's the white. His words were cut short as a barrage of dark, magically charged projectiles slammed into the tower, silencing him in a burst of destructive energy. Evelyn, her voice ringing with authority, commanded, "Everyone, bombs away!" The recruits, their faces grim with determination, unleashed a volley of explosive projectiles, the air filling with the roar of their dragons and the thunderous impacts. The very ground trembled under the relentless assault, a chaotic symphony of destruction. Hide inside the castle. Avoid dying a meaningless death. A voice cried out, its desperation palpable amidst the chaos. Figures clashed in a whirlwind of steel and fury. The battle joined in earnest. Blood splattered on the snow, painting a grisly picture. Theo and his comrades move with deadly intent, cutting through the enemy. Kill every last one of them. Show them the price of messing with the white-armored dragon cavalry, shouted Evelyn, her rage fueling her every strike. The fortress, once a symbol of strength and security, was engulfed in flames, its walls crumbling under the relentless assault. A soldier, his face etched with grim satisfaction, muttered, "I would have been a goner if I'd left even a minute later." He wiped the sweat from his brow, a smug grin spreading across his face. "Whatever. As long as I deliver this, my mission is done. All that's left is for me to kick back and enjoy the rest of my—" His boastful words were cut short as a dark, cloaked figure materialized before him, his eyes glowing with an eerie, crimson light. "The goods?" the cloaked figure asked, his voice a low, menacing growl. "Here, sir," the soldier replied, his voice trembling slightly as he handed over a long, carefully wrapped package. "Good. It's the correct item," the figure confirmed, his voice devoid of emotion. "We have acquired the target. Prepare the next stage of the plan," he commanded, his voice echoing through the snowy landscape. "Yes, sir," a chorus of voices responded, their obedience absolute. The figure surveyed the scene, a grim satisfaction in his eyes. "All that's left." He directed his gaze towards a group of figures operating strange, wheeled contraptions, their movements precise and coordinated. "Subjugation complete," Theo said with content. "Ha ha, that was easy." Theo laughed with confidence. Evelyn replied to his cheerful comment, "You're right. It was too easy." Theo continued thinking, "It's hard to believe the original Platoon 5 was wiped out. Not to mention, he activated hatchling Synchro, allowing him to delve into the memories of his defeated foes. This guy is well. He knows they stole Bomong, but he hasn't actually seen it in person," Theo muttered, his brow furrowed in thought. "I would get that with the lower pawns, but how can that be with even their executives? Am I missing something?" As Theo pondered, Erin approached him. "What's wrong, Theo? Is there a problem?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. "And no, I was just lost in thought," Theo replied, shaking his head slightly. Selford spoke, trying to get Theo to move. "You may be called a flash tiger or whatever, but I guess a newbie is a newbie. You can be honest and say that you were just nervous for your first mission." Erin stated, "Since we rescued the hostages, let's reconvene with the rest of the platoon." With a sigh, he replied, "Yes. Yes, as you wish. I want to go home soon." Selford walks past him. "I reek of gunpowder," Theo muttered, wrinkling his nose in disgust. He leaped into action, his movements fluid and graceful, his sword flashing in the fading light. "What's wrong with him?" Selford asked, a hint of amusement in her voice. "Maybe he hated the way you smell," Erin concluded. Theo leaped. Once more, gracefully, he hurled projectiles, each one finding its mark with deadly accuracy. "I knew it," Theo muttered, his voice filled with a growing sense of unease. "What's the meaning of this, Theo?" Erin exclaimed, her eyes wide with shock and disbelief. She gasped as she surveyed the scene before her, her gaze falling upon a collection of barrels filled with volatile explosives. Explosives? Those sons of bitches. Were they planning on taking us down with them? "We have no time to lose. We need to escape immediately," Theo commanded, her voice sharp with urgency. "Okay," they responded, his voice equally resolute. A swirling vortex of darkness sphere appeared. "Theo, look at the approaching black sphere," Theo shouted with rage, his voice laced with frustration and despair. The ground trembled as the fortress was engulfed in a cataclysmic explosion, the force of the blast sending shockwaves rippling through the air. "Reload," a figure commanded, their voice cold and emotionless, as they prepared for another volley. With a precise, almost mechanical motion, he reached out, his hand disappearing into the swirling darkness. Another wave of explosions tore through the fortress, the very foundations shaking under the relentless assault. "Exterminate them all. Don't leave a single ant alive," the figure commanded, his voice devoid of any trace of mercy. The scene shifted, a lavish, richly decorated chamber, and a cradle. A woman, Emil, her face pale and drawn, cradled a small, swaddled son in her arms. There, Axion, my baby," she murmured, her voice a soothing balm against the backdrop of chaos and destruction. "Did it hurt a lot?" "Mommy will Her eyes, filled with a terrifying mixture of grief and madness, blazed with an unholy light. "Bring you the head of that filthy vermin," she vowed, her voice dripping with venomous hatred.